It is not surprising or uncommon to hear that great communication is essential for a romantic relationship to flourish. What is surprising is the very small number of men and women who put any effort into improving their communication with their partner. Most individuals in a relationship falsely assume that if they're talking, they're communicating, and nothing could be farther from the truth. Effective communication in a relationship takes patience, practice, and mindfulness. This might sound like a lot of work, but in the long run, a lack of communication will cause you much more exertion and stress in your relationship. Or worst case scenario, the end of the relationship. So if you're looking to invest a little time and effort into your relationship, then check out our list of the top 10 ways to improve communication with your partner. Welcome to the Eros channel, your go-to source for all things love. If you've yet to subscribe, click our logo on the bottom right corner and let us be your guide through the exhilarating and often complex world of love, relationships, and intimacy. Number 1. Become a good listener. In order to become a good communicator, you must first become a good listener. This is easier said than done. As humans, we have a stubborn, instinctive habit to actively formulate our next statement in our minds when someone is speaking to us, rather than actually listening to what is being said. Although this sounds logical and can be advantageous in some situations, it is definitely a disservice to your partner if understanding his or her needs is your objective. Not capturing the true or complete message your partner is trying to deliver will begin a snowball effect of miscommunication and resentfulness. Therefore, it is essential that you train yourself to quiet the part of you that is trying to stay one step ahead in the conversation. Be mindful of your runaway thoughts and truly make an effort to calmly listen to your partner. If you find your thoughts drifting again, keep yourself focused by asking follow-up questions and repeating some of the statements you are given. Once you master the discipline it requires to actually listen to your partner and address their concerns, keeping him or her satisfied will be that much easier. Tip number 2. Focus on the bottom line. Humans are vastly emotional beings, and when it comes to relationships, we often let these emotions guide us in the wrong direction. This is understandable, as obviously relationships are centered around one of the strongest emotions, love. However, when it comes to effective communication, we must remain steadfast in our quest for the bottom line, a solution. Both parties must place finding a solution to the problem, disagreement, or miscommunication as the top priority. You must not allow yourself to get distracted with emotion, previous fights, or trying to win the argument. Instead, work together to remedy the situation by coming up with a concrete plan and specific actions that each of you will take to reach that remedy. This will prevent an argument about the same subject only 2 weeks later, and ensure that your relationship doesn't end up in the proverbial hamster wheel of miscommunication. By focusing on the bottom line and sharing the specific acts each person is expected to perform to make it work, you will eliminate any gray area. What each person in a relationship wants from each other should not be a mystery. Remain laser focused on finding the solution and don't allow yourself to be misguided. Tip number 3. Be kind. You would think that this tip doesn't need mentioning, but unfortunately, forgetting to be kind, and yes, even during an argument, is all too common in relationships. Being kind to one another should be a rule set in stone for anyone in a relationship, and there should be unwavering support for it from both parties. While communicating, although you might not agree with what your partner is saying, simply take a deep breath and remind yourself of the initial feelings that ultimately started the relationship. Always reply to your partner with kindness, even though you may feel different inside. In the long run, it's guaranteed to help the relationship last. Tip number 4. Respect each other's point of view. Many couples start off naively thinking that they will never argue and that both parties will always agree with each other. 24 hours later, reality has changed that expectation. Unfortunately, what often follows is a tendency to want to prove each other wrong in an argument or disagreement. Now, in some cases, one person is actually at fault and has done something that should be acknowledged and apologized for. It is during these discussions that we have to allow ourselves to agree to disagree. Continuing to debate until one person gives in, or even worse, no one gives in, is exhausting and will ultimately lead to demise. Allow yourself to accept that your partner sees things differently, and that's okay, as long as you both are working together towards a solution as mentioned before. Life is full of turmoil, and a long relationship or marriage is guaranteed its fair share. Mastering this skill of respecting each other's point of view, although different from yours, and still working towards a solution is priceless when it comes to making it last. Tip number 5, schedule communication time. If you're interested in increasing effective communication in your relationship, you must set aside the time to do it. Now, don't go running for the hills just yet. We're not saying you have to pull out your calendars and planners and create an appointment for some awkward therapy session. What we are saying is that both parties must make a conscious effort to allow there to be a time for just talking. There doesn't have to be a planned agenda or rules. The only rule is that there must be no distractions. No cell phones, no TV, no social media. Just the two of you. In today's day and age, our days are filled with distractors, and often we can spend a whole day with our partner only to realize that you haven't really had a chance to have a conversation. And it doesn't have to be long. Even a simple 15 minutes before settling down to watch a movie is sufficient. We're talking quality over quantity here. And on a side note, if it's during a date night, having a drink during the process doesn't hurt. It'll take the edge off and allow both parties to communicate more easily. The bottom line is to bond while giving yourselves the time to just say what's on your mind, whatever that may be. Tip number 6, tell your partner what you want. Oftentimes, people in a relationship will make it a habit to tell everyone they know about the negative characteristics and actions of their partner. Everyone but their partner. They expect their partner to look into their crystal ball and see every wish and desire their partner has. And when they miraculously fail to figure these things out, we punish them for something they are not aware of. We should be rating, for a lack of a better word, our partners for the actions they take after we have informed them of something we want or are bothered by. And yes, we must tell our partners what we want. If you want your boyfriend to be more affectionate, then tell him that. If you want your girlfriend to make an effort to get along with your friends, then tell her that. We all have very different needs and perceptions, and a simple request is sometimes all that's needed to remedy the situation. Both people in the relationship have to agree to communicate their needs. If only one-sided, this will also most definitely lead to resentment. Tip number 7, control your emotions and start over if necessary. Emotions can create beautiful and lasting relationships, but they can also cause us to say and do things we almost instantly regret. When you and your partner are having an argument, you must control your emotions. Try to identify the inner signs that you're about to erupt and take concrete actions to prevent it from happening. Take deep breaths or tell your partner you need a quick break. If you don't catch yourself on time and you end up lashing out, yelling, or saying something insensitive, apologize immediately and ask your partner if you can start over. Saying these words will require maturity and for you to put your pride aside, but it will help to de-escalate the situation before it's beyond repair. We are imperfect humans, and there is nothing wrong with asking for a do-over. If anything, it demonstrates to your partner that you can acknowledge when you're wrong and will take steps to fix it. Number 8, don't interrupt. Interrupting your partner is an infamous conversation killer. Resist the temptation at all costs. If you're afraid of forgetting a point you want to make, simply place it in your reserve bank and bring it up later in the conversation. Over time, constantly interrupting will also unconsciously train your partner to speak less. If someone feels they rarely ever get to express themselves before getting interrupted, naturally they will make the attempt less and less. Tip number 9, set ground rules. The rules of war are a component of international law that regulate the conduct of countries in conflict. These rules are agreed upon during peacetime and set the standards for the behavior expected and required by each country. In the same fashion, couples should also have a set of rules or code of conduct that they generally follow during an argument or disagreement. And just as the international community does, couples should also create these rules during time of peace. Any conversation had during an argument will generally not be impartial and jaded by emotion. Having a set of rules to follow will ensure that specific standards each person has are met and respected. Some examples of some ground rules can be no yelling, no insults, not going to bed angry, and no bringing up old events. All successful companies have a set of core values that they follow, and at times, a relationship can be treated as a company, in the sense that there must be communication, mutual goals, expectations, teamwork, and lastly, a set of standard operating procedures that both parties can agree to. Tip number 10. Let your guard down. A couple can only reach the highest levels of effective communication when they allow themselves to let their guards down. Of course, this often comes with time, but if you've been in a long-term relationship for a while and still feel reluctant to tell your partner how you truly feel about certain things, you're not enjoying the true beauty of trust and emotional intimacy. It is understandably difficult to let your shields down completely. However, we highly suggest you take the plunge. Creating a relationship where your partner is a sanctuary for expressing your opinions, worries, and fears creates a bond like no other. If your partner does not accept you and your most personal thoughts and opinions, it's a good sign that long-term, the relationship was doomed to fail anyway. And now we've come to the end of our list of the top 10 tips for improving communication in your relationship. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave your comment below. Thank you for watching, and as always, remember to love yourself first.